I'm Lindsay Blandingham with the Symphony Group right here in Louisville, Kentucky. We're going to put together a 3-video series about the buying process. Today, we're going to talk about the initial steps, what has to happen first. In subsequent videos, we will talk about the contract to close process, that whole time that you're under contract on a house, and our final video will really dive deep into the closing process. I know a lot of folks have a lot of questions about that. Make sure that you subscribe so that you catch those next couple of videos and don't get left hanging. So up first today, we're going to talk about the initial steps to take if you're interested in buying a home. Step 1, you need to call a realtor. Now, of course, if you're shopping in Louisville or in Southern Indiana, you should call me. But if you're not shopping in one of those areas, let me know and I can help you find somebody who's excellent. I have access to a lot of information about different agents in different states, so I could definitely help you find someone. But you can also ask someone that you love and trust, maybe somebody who's had a really recent real estate experience, just to get some feedback on what they were looking for, what worked well for them and what didn't, and get some advice on helping you identify the person that might be the right fit for you. Once you call a realtor, one of the very first things that you're going to want to ask is you're going to want to ask them for a recommendation on a lender. Getting squared away with a lender, assuming that you need a mortgage to buy a home, is one of the earliest steps that you should do. You're going to get all of the questions answered that you have about price, about qualifying. It's really, really important to understand before you start dreaming up your ideal home that you really have an idea about what you can afford comfortably. I tell folks a lot of times, when you call that lender, have a conversation, start at 30,000 feet and say, here's what I want to pay month to month. Here's what feels comfortable for me month to month. Saying something like, I feel most comfortable paying about $1,500 a month in my mortgage payment. And the lender will ask you some questions about how much you've got saved up to make toward a down payment. 0 is okay. Just having a conversation up front to sort of help us back into what that purchase price should look like. That initial conversation with a lender is going to lead to the process of pre-qualification. So step 2 is to identify a lender. There are banks, there are mortgage brokerages, there are all different types of lenders out there, and your real estate agent is really going to be able to help you identify what type of situation might work best for you. They are going to know who works really well in your market, who works really quickly, and who might be the right fit for your particular situation. If you know that you need down payment assistance, your realtor may know a specific lender who has the best down payment assistance options right now. You are a veteran and you want to have a VA loan. Your realtor may know the very best lender to work with VA loans, just as an example. So talk to your realtor and let them help you identify a mortgage provider. Step 3 is going through that pre-approval process with a lender. Now, you can do this with one lender, you can do it with several lenders. My word of advice to you is that if you're going to start that process with one person, you've got a couple of weeks to be able to have that conversation with multiple lenders, and I would take advantage of it. In the same way that you wouldn't just call one contractor to get a quote on your plumbing job or one contractor to get a quote on your new deck. You want to call around, get a couple of quotes, and choose the one that's going to best work for you. So once you have completed that pre-approval process with one lender, first of all, that means you've got the stack of paper ready, right? You have all of the components that you needed to complete that pre-approval process. So keep it at the ready and go ahead and go through that process with a second person. When you do a pre-qualification for a mortgage, you are going to have a hard inquiry on your credit. But if you do a second or third within a short period of time of a few days or a week or two, then you're not going to have repeat hard inquiries. So it really doesn't hurt anything to go ahead and get a couple of opinions on your mortgage. What are you going to need for that pre-approval? You're going to need 2 years worth of W-2s, several months worth of pay stubs, any information about the debt that you have. So whether you have a current home that has a mortgage on it, any cars, college tuition loans, credit cards, of course. So accumulate any statements of debt that you have. Now, we're not talking about your cell phone bill, what you pay for childcare. We're talking about actual debt. Your lender's going to need all of that information, W-2s, pay stubs, any other income that you have going in. If you receive child support, if you receive alimony, anything like that that is going to contribute toward your monthly income, your lender is going to need all of that information. And they'll let you know what additional things they need. They may need a copy of your driver's license or something like that. But essentially, they will give you a list of everything they need to complete your pre-qualification. Get that together as quickly as you can. Get that returned to them. A lot of lenders have sites where you can simply just upload those pieces of information in a safe and secure way directly to their site. Once they have everything that they need from you, they will do a full pre-qualification for a mortgage, or sometimes even a pre-approval. You can take all of that into account and give you an idea of, hey, you would be comfortable to spend X number of dollars on your new home. And when you spend X number of dollars, let's say $300,000 on your new home, your monthly payment is going to look like this. And that's going to include your taxes, and that's going to include your insurance. They're going to give you a full rounded picture so that you feel really, really comfortable, right, with what exactly that's going to look like. You feel very comfortable with what you can truly afford to spend on your new home. And that way, when you do start looking at homes, you have a really good and square idea of what you can offer and what you can see. That way, you don't go out there and fall in love with a $400,000 house on your $300,000 budget. Step 4, I've put in as a buyer consultation. Now, it's possible that the buyer consultation and the pre-approval may switch places. You could do a buyer consultation before you do a pre-approval. But those two things both need to happen. Buyer consultation would take place with your real estate agent. And sometimes it's helpful to have already had that conversation with a lender to see where you feel comfortable, to see that you're qualified. It's not necessary. You could do the buyer consultation first. Either way, sit down with your real estate agent and have a conversation about what you really want. You're going to talk about how many bedrooms and bathrooms. You're going to talk about square footage, garages, basement. Write down a list of everything that you're going to want in your new home and share that with your realtor during that buyer consultation. That's also the time when your realtor will walk you through the process. You'll look at the inventory that's available on the market today. You'll talk about the next steps along this process that we'll get to in subsequent videos about what exactly this process is going to look like for you from start to finish. A buyer consultation typically would take place maybe in a real estate office, maybe in your own home, wherever you and your real estate agent can meet quietly and comfortably for about an hour or so, just to talk through the entire process. In my buyer consultations, I always talk through what our contract looks like. I really want the buyer to get very familiar with this big giant contract that they're going to have to sign when it comes time to make an offer on a home. So we really go into that in detail so that the first time you're looking at that, you're not like, oh my gosh, what is this that I'm signing? I want you to feel really comfortable before you even fall in love with a home with what that contract looks like. After you've met with your lender and your realtor, after you have had a buyer consultation and you have gotten pre-qualified for a loan, guess what? Finally, the fun part. We get to see houses. You're going to talk to your realtor about setting up a search for you that will identify homes that fit the criteria that you have presented in the buyer consultation. You're looking for homes that are 3 bedrooms, that have 2 bathrooms, that have a garage, whatever that list may look like. Your realtor will set up a search so that you can learn about these homes the minute they hit the market. And when they hit the market, you are going to call your real estate agent and say, that's the one, I want to go see it. And then we get to go see houses. And that's the really fun part, right? Your real estate agent will work with you to set up times to go see the houses that you want based on your work schedule, based on your life, and she will work, or he will work, with the sellers and their schedule, and we'll identify a time that we can get everybody on the same page and be able to see that house. Sometimes this is the same day. This is a hot property that may go quickly. Might need to get out and see it that very same day. Sometimes you get a couple of days notice, maybe that the house is going to be available for a few days, or they're not going to review contracts for a certain amount of time. And if that's the case, you might be able to go see it tomorrow. But either way, this process moves pretty quickly from the day when you get a notification saying, hey, this property just hit the market, until you're standing in it. Sometimes it's just hours. So be ready to move quickly. Maybe if you work in a place where you have some flexibility, maybe you tell your boss, hey, for the next couple weeks, I'm going to be looking at homes. Would it be okay if I ducked out for an hour every once in a while to see something? If not, then let your real estate agent know what your work schedule looks like. Hey, I get off at 5 o'clock. I can see homes from 5:30 to 7:30. That way we're already all on the same page. We know exactly what's going to work for you, and we can get into them as quickly as possible. In this market, market today, sometimes that's what matters most, is getting in fast. So showing homes, seeing homes is when we get to have that process of walking in the home, of seeing how the space feels in real life. Pictures do a wonderful job, but they don't give us 100%. They definitely don't tell us what it smells like. So always go and see the house whenever you possibly can. And if you cannot be there in person, you need to send a trusted friend or relative to go in your place with your agent, or maybe your agent is that trusted friend or relative, and really get a true opinion, because someone who can really feel what the space feels like, smell what it smells like, really get close and personal with the details of the house, things that pictures may not show us, is really important and crucial. So as much as possible, try to get into homes before you purchase. Obviously, there are circumstances where that simply isn't possible. And in that case, it matters all the more that you have a really trusted real estate agent in your corner who can do a video call with you, who's going to tell you the real truth about this property and what it smells like, and where there are cracks and where there are steps and where things that might not work for you. You're buying, the biggest investment of your life, and you want to make sure that you're really doing your due diligence and doing your homework. So showings are very fun. Sometimes they're disappointing. Sometimes they're the best thing ever. But either way, you're going to get into a home at some point that is going to feel like it's right. And when it's right, then it's time to make an offer. And that is where we will catch up next week. If you're ready to start this process now or in the next 3 or 4 months in Louisville, in Southern Indiana, or anywhere in the US, by all means, reach out. symphonyrealtygroup@gmail.com.